Okay.
Okay.
Well, so yeah, this is in general the facade we came out with for our special structure. So we wanted to highlight different activities within the area. So which is why a lot of it is actually quite see-through. So this goes along with what we presented weeks and weeks ago about like the functions and the interactions between people within the structure being the focus of the design or like of what people can see. So it yeah, so we showcased the different activities in different ways and like while still maintaining a level of privacy through like the usage of plants, breeze blocks, and glass pane. So it provides different levels of privacy while also being in a way like it adds texture and unique elements in the structure. And then we also added these like wooden canopies around the side of the structure because the facade that came out originally was a little too flat, in our opinion. So we decided to put like walkways around the structure to allow people to go around the site as well as through the actual structure itself. So it just provides different ways of going around and helps as well the people going around the city and around the structure rather than who are just using the structure itself. And then this one is our first idea or our first iteration of the fabric structure. So upon looking back at what me and Andre first conceptualized for our master plan, we noticed that yeah, the cities or the city area we developed was really dense. So like every structure was kind of connected to each other, and the only part that was really seen of every structure was generally the front area of it. So we wanted to focus on those parts or those kinds of structures first, but we will come up with more iterations soon, like for like the corner lots and such, where there are more faces to be seen. But in general, this is what the facade of it would look like. So it's a mixed-use residential, wherein the first two floors are commercial and the top floors are residential. And yeah, this is the general plan for the commercial floors. So it breaks into two individual like commercial rentable spaces. So for example, if this was like a restaurant, then the service area back here would be the kitchen, and then the customer space up front would be where people eat, and the shared public space would be how people enter the floor or enter the building, like through the entrance down here. And we wanted to put windows in the service area, so that when people who are going to their apartments on the top of the structure while waiting for the elevator, they can watch the people make the food. So it becomes like an event to them or like a new experience where they can kind of learn, they can watch and see and like take in what is really happening when it comes to their food being prepared. So like they're a little more aware of what happens in the kitchen as well. And then for the customer space, we wanted to put like these openings here. So this one will be covered with breeze blocks. This one here will be covered with the plant mesh. Well, the idea we had. So we wanted to like implement plants as well into the structure so that it would have the same theme as our special structure. And we wanted it to be kind of porous in a sense, the customer space, so that the people in the shared public space and the street outside it can kind of experience as well, like in a small degree, what's happening in that space, so they can kind of hear the people eating, like the conversations in the background becomes kind of like white noise, and they can also smell the food. So it kind of like blends the areas together, or like helps people like feel that sense of community around them while going to their apartments or just passing by the structure itself. And then this one is the residential floor. So two individual apartments with a quite rudimentary or like average layout naman. But what we wanted to highlight was the shared space in the middle. So we wanted this portion to be like a habitable area for people to share. For example, like the space especially here would be putting like the mailboxes, and like we also have the plant wall, or even we could even put the like the composting column here to like emphasize composting the area and like plant propagation as well. So we want it to be usable for the people there, as well as like making sure the people come from the stairs um don't really have any purpose to stay here, but would rather just like, or they'd rather circulate and go directly up. But the people who would primarily be using this space in the middle will be the people of each floor. And then to cap off our fabric structure, at least for now, we when looking back at what me and Andre thought of for the individual structures surrounding the area, we wanted to create platforms or different ways to explore the city rather than just through going through different streets. So we thought of like different elevations and different ways of crossing each other, and we thought of having like bridges that connect buildings together to create these new spaces like above streets and or like these are like canopy walkways around the area to show like or to add space for people to play or for like maybe commercially rentable space as well and maybe for like alfresco dining and such. So in general, the fabric structures around the area will be connected to each other through like different ways using these bridges on the second floor to kind of connect commercial spaces together, and we'll kind of create this like network where you could explore the city in a new way. And then see, yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. But Jazz will be screen sharing now, and he'll share his side of it also.
You see my screen? Does it see?
Yep.
So this one answer is part of the special building that was that we were explaining before, the fabric building. This is the church building basically, and we just wanted to share the highlights of the church building. Um, I mean, one of the highlights, which is the water hyacinth canal that would flow around all throughout the whole building. So basically, the first floor of the building or the ground floor would have two main functions. Which being the waste collection area and the church itself. And we wanted the canal to kind of like be experienced by both functions. So yeah, we designed this canal that would be generated in kind of like the eco trail throughout the site. And the idea of this is basically every time nadadaan yung uh, water hyacinth, so waste collection area, it would kind of be um, malalagyan siya ng nutrients. We presented this idea before, and we just kind of finalized it now with the models that we've been making. Um, so this is what it looks like in 3D, how it would look like on the model itself. And these two columns, massive circular columns, would be the Bokashi composting columns that is also seen in the other side of the building that was explained by Carlos earlier. Um, and one of the other highlights of the church building is the waste collection area. That would also be um, kind of like um, one of the main highlights of this structure. Uh, so the idea, sir, would be kind of like this side of the area, makikita ng mga tao how this actually works, and at the same time, we wanted the idea of it being transparent to the people is one of our main concepts. So that's kind of what we wanted to show here in this sheet. So that's just to add on, sir, on the progress of the church building. We're working on the floor plans um as we go. And just to highlight, uh, the church building, it being a public building, we wanted to um, cater to the people, to churchgoers mainly. And yung second floor basically ng building would be for church meeting groups and for playgrounds.
Can you guys hear me?
Sir?
Yeah.
Now, sir, we can.
Okay. Sige. You can reshare. You were talking about the church. Are you sharing it already?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
You're kind of choppy pa rin, sir.
Are you able to share it na?
Here's good. Well, I'll share screen again. Here, sir.
Kasi my speed is actually very good. Upon checking speed test. Ayan, I can see it. You guys can talk about the church.
Hmm? Sir, we finished presenting na, sir.
Okay.
Were you able to hear Jennifer's part?
Actually, I didn't hear the ending. That's why I was wondering if I got cut during the ending. So, but can you present again, like, the last slides of the church area, the church project?
Jazz, Jazz, I think that's your part.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me,
Yeah, I can.
sir?
Yeah, talk about that.
Okay. Um. So in the church building, sir, concept being the water hyacinth, and in our ground floor in the church building, and in 3D, sir, this is how it would work. This being the church area, people could worship God. In this, the waste collection area, which yung idea was we would take in trash and it would be segregated. Some of it would be recycled, some of it would babalik yung nutrients sa pag-propagate ng water hyacinth. And we wanted it to flow around the site so the users could have a better experience of our what we want to celebrate, which is in the church area would be kind of it would be transparent to the people. Most of its walls would be the screen mesh that was seen in what Carlos was presenting earlier with the climbing plants all throughout the wall. And this would be yeah, going on through the site. And the circular columns here. Oh, wait. Are the this one and this one. And yeah, circular columns. They would be the bokashi. You would remember, sir, how it works. It's here. Basically, water would go down. Sa taas kasi nito, sir, is the mezzanine, which would have the mezzanine better experience of what we want to celebrate or collect yung compost sa ilalim. And yeah, so this is just how we're finalizing the model and working on our floor plans. And lastly, public space, a church building. So mainly catering siya to churchgoers. Building na to is and so on. But it would be just offices and meeting rooms. And yeah, yun lang, sir.
Uh, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for the first project, I think you need to finish it already. It is a good first attempt in trying to change the typology, the status quo of the typology. And then later on, I hope you're more adventurous in changing almost everything. Because right now, if I'm going to be honest, from a design critic point of view, it's just basically, it looks like a retrofit of an existing building. The building envelope reminds me of the CSB main building. And then it just made interesting because you have those breeze blocks, you have all those intervention, etc. But like I said, it's not bad. It's a good attempt. But later on, I hope that you think of outside the box, so that it is not associated with existing building typologies. Because I understand where you guys are coming from. What's important is that you commit to a process, and what they call it. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then it's not bad. Just that the moment you see the elevations, etc., we have to be honest. It looks like the CSB main building. Just that it's only made different because of the skin of the breeze blocks and the other intervention that you were doing, which makes it very innovative in its own right. But when it comes to design exploration, you're exploring beyond that. You're not just thinking of architecture as a shell or as a compartment. You think of the shell as well. But I think you attempted that idea in the columns, little by little. So I guess you are doing baby steps. You're taking baby steps in this regard. So I would see the same tendency for the church project. Um, and I think you're taking baby steps in doing so. So I hope you finish it because you only have 1 week. And yeah, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, sige. Thank you, Carlos and Jazz. So,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
all
sir.
right. Jericho and Francis.
Francis RB Gina.
Nancy Francis.
Oh, okay, wait, no. See. So yung submissions for all the finals will be next week na? Or like sa
Actually, week
first
14
week of
na pala.
December?
Kailan ba, ano ba yung calendar? Kasi right now, when I'm looking at my calendar, it's week 14 already. And let me just check the deadline of grades. It all boils down to the deadline of grades. But I did inform,
Sige lang, sir.
but I did inform one of the groups, I think it's Bea and Jao, that we still apply the honor system. Like even if we go beyond the term final examination already, I'm sure you guys are going to still finish it, right? So, but definitely I will have to have a basis when it comes to the final grade based on the output that you present to me. You know, I can't just, I can't just guess it. All right.
Alright, sir. Medyo choppy ka pa rin, sir, a bit. So you're
It's so
breaking.
weird because I'm in a new place now, and the internet is so much. It's faster. It's 100 Mbps, and yet I'm choppy. Maybe it's the app. I don't know. Maybe it's the Zoom app.
Maybe, sir.
Yeah, it's weird. Like when I uploaded the Design 6 Week 2, normally in my old place that would take probably an hour. Here it only took 20 minutes or 10 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes. 10 minutes to completely upload everything, and then 20 minutes to process the HD. Sometimes kasi YouTube can take a little longer when processing HD. So, so average of 10 to 15 minutes. But when it comes to Zoom, for some reason, I think it's curtailing the speed limit. Sige, share na kayo.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Ready na po.
Game.
Hmm. Uy. Wait lang.
Nag-transparent siya.
Oo, nag-transparent yung background. Wait lang.
No.
I-re-export ko lang.
Naka-PNG yata eh.
Oo.
Hi, sir. Another question pala. Since, do we have like some sort of consultation for Thursday? Since I know, if I remember correctly, Thursday follows Tuesday's schedule.
If you want, yes, I can set a schedule for that. Especially if you guys are needing consultation. Do you guys want me to consult?
So it's optional, sir.
Yeah, it's optional.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Ganun. Transparent siya.
Pero I have a feeling kasi na mag-aano kayo eh. You'd rather put your time in finishing it. I have a feeling yun balak ng gawin.
We're still not sure din. Depende rin kasi, sir, if the finals will be next week or like the first week of December. Ang gulo din kasi ng schedule kasi nakasulat sa schedule, sir, last day of classes ata was December 6th, I think.
Well, in my case, it really boils down to the deadline of grades. I need time to compute for it. I need time to consult with you regarding your grades before I actually submit it. So it cannot be that our last meeting will be on the deadline of grades. All right?
All right, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so
by the way, if you're going to consult with me on Thursday, I forgot kasi baka in the evening. All right?
answer baka evening or not evening?
Evening, baka mga pahapon like that. Kasi
okay.
ano nga ba, no? Let me just check my schedule. But yeah, anyway, go ahead, guys.
Okay. So basically for this week, we were already finalizing the plans per module, or like the residential units that we designed. So this is basically the smallest unit that we have. We only have 2 units, so that's 5 by 10 and 10 by 10. So this 5 by 10 is kind of like the studio type in most apartments. So, but we allocated spaces for like the expansion spaces for like optional routines. Basically optional activities for a more semi-private type of. So yeah, so basically just a balcony. So this one can accommodate almost at least I think 2 to 3 people, or yeah, around that range. Since the furnitures are not final, but like the space allocations are final. Tapos next slide, Francis.
Wait, before I forget, how's the structural of this?
Sir, binago na namin siya completely.
What is this made of?
Mostly sir, light materials lang, like parang wood sana yung unit, since medyo lightweight. Lightweight sana yung aim namin sir, kasi isa-stack namin siya. So binago namin completely yung concept namin na yung parang random stacking, and we went for a more efficient stacking of modules para satisfy namin yung concerns namin last week regarding efficiency ratios. So yun sir. Mostly
Actually,
light materials sana.
okay, wala namang problema. Just that I don't know if I mentioned to you guys, before I handled your batch for PE, there was an idea of exploring or probably devoting a study on wood tectonics. So it's very
Yes, sir.
important in this kind of proposal that you are familiar with the dimensions of the wood elements, including the columns and the floor joists, etc. And then how are you going to waterproof this? It's not enough that you create a form and then assume that you just say that it's concrete and wood, because if it's going to be concrete, naman what I require. I need to see the structural, where the columns are and the thicknesses, even the beams and the slabs. So actually concrete is easier, but if you're going to
Okay, sir.
go to the route of wood, it requires more than form. All right, so it requires tectonics, like the connection of elements. So we need to see that. Otherwise this will be just an assumption that it can be concrete, it can be anything. If it's going to be wood, then show the columnation still, the post, the wooden post, and how you're going to waterproof it. You can look at the work of Alexis Dornier. He's if I'm not mistaken, he's German. He's based in Bali, and he does a really very interesting work on tropical architecture. So the stacking and the forms, it can be anything, but since you mentioned wood, then you need to commit to it if it's really wood. Because definitely how we're
Okay, sir.
looking at this plan will be very different. Okay? Sige. Okay.
Okay,
But
sir.
as a designer, I'm just basically,
Sir, we'll work on the
what you need
Sir,
to do.
yung material naman, hindi pa siya final, so subject to changes pa sa
Bigla ka
if ever.
bigla ka na-intimidate, ba?
Medyo maganda lang kasi yung
we'll
tingnan yung wood, sir.
we'll probably work on a combination na lang,
Yes.
sir, that includes wood.
Okay, sige. All right.
Sir, can you type the reference that you were saying kanina? We couldn't hear you a while ago.
Alexis Dornier. Dornier. Kilala ni Tracy. Alexis, sige, I'll type it.
Sige, sir. Sorry, sir, you're cutting off
Ayun.
kasi we couldn't hear you
Nakita ko na.
properly.
Okay na, Jerry ko, nakita ko na. Send ko na. No?
Okay. Sige.
Okay, so sige tuloy mo na. Ay, next na ba? Or ito
Next
pa rin?
slide.
Okay.
So basically, the next slide is double the size lang of the initial unit. So this can fit around 4 to 5 na. Since we were thinking, since the average household was around 4 people, so there's a possibility that that could extend to 7 persons within the household. But you'd probably be thinking if there's a family around the size of 7 or more, it would probably like be an extended family. So baka kasama na grandparents or something like that. So if that's the case for the family staying here, we decided that for extended families, they can still be in like the same residential apartment, but they can be located in a separate unit so that they have their own kind of in their intimate life there. So this one's around 4 to 5, just basically 2 bedrooms, twice the size of the initial unit. Next slide, Francis.
Okay, so dito sa slide na to is yung concept namin, sir, for the co-working spaces, since we're exploring yung combination of residential and co-working space. And as seen on the left, yung concept namin for the co-working space is parang it's a room with removable wall panels, and it can either serve as a chair for the sa mga taong pupunta, or it can either serve as a table. So hindi ko alam if kita siya, pero this one serves as a table, then meron din mga chairs dito, and merong central table sa gitna. And so naisip namin yung ganitong idea kasi we acknowledge na not everyone is open to the idea of collaborating. Kaya we decided to accommodate yung mga parang people na hindi comfortable with collaborating with others. So we decided to parang allow them to create their own space within the collaboration space. We also plan to add this yung idea ni Jericho dati about yung parang climbable spaces in the future, since medyo initial iteration pa lang namin to for the co-working space. And yeah. So basically, sir, yung binago namin about yung concept namin dati yung random stacking, and we wanted it to be more efficient, so we came up with a parang full stack na, and para na rin wala kaming concerns about circulation and yung privacy sa mga spaces, since concerned din namin yun last week. And basically yung assembly lang na is it's made up of residential modules, corridors, ramp, structural support, yung ramp mismo, co-working spaces, and yung structural. And if you notice, sir, most of the spaces where the interactions between people happen is mostly located in the middle, and yung residential modules is nasa perimeter lahat. And we wanted to put the spaces for social interaction sa gitna para magkaroon kami ng parang zoning that defines where people should collaborate or where people should socialize, para ma-define namin kung saan yung mga para ma-define namin ng malinaw if it's a space meant for collaboration or it's a space meant for privacy. And yung regarding circulation, sir, since naging concern sa amin yung dati, is we came up with a system made up of ramps and corridors. And so yung corridors connects the residential modules, and yung ramps naman is parang connection between the floors. And yeah. And next naman is yung basically yung facade ng building namin. And sa ngayon, sir, mukha pa siyang plain. Pero since we turn this into yung parang expandable spaces or spaces for expansion, we allow yung concept namin dito is we allow the residents to basically create their own space, and since magkakaiba sila ng parang needs for magkakaiba sila ng needs na parang pwede nilang ilagay dito sa expansion space na to. It would basically create a parang multi-dimensional facade. So hindi lang siya windows or hindi lang siya garden, and parang ganito siya, sir. So ganito yung naisip namin na for the expansion spaces. So these are the possibilities and examples of the expansion spaces that we think of. So hindi lang siya yung parang one-dimensional facade na isa lang yung nakikita mo. And yeah, then we also wanted to show the visualizations for the building. We did some test renders and wait, open ko lang po. So this ones are so basically this is what the corridors would look like, and we're exploring yung parang sky garden, ganun. And ito the one on the left here is yung ramp system na connected dun sa corridors, and yung mga open spaces that allows trees to parang penetrate through the building.
Okay guys, I really love the
Okay, sir.
design, but I highly doubt if you can get a wood that thick.
Yes, sir. Yun pa yung pinagde-debatean namin ni Jericho kanina kasi
Yeah.
hindi rin kami
We were
sure kung
actually talking about it. That's why we were currently it's all wood, but we really had plans on a combination of maybe concrete, wood, and steel. But
Yes,
we
sir.
couldn't really detail everything right now, sir. So we
I just
apologize.
want you to have that awareness.
So,
Like as early as now, this goes for everyone. While we want our buildings to look pure and as much as possible consistent with the material, we have the reality of dimension limits. We have the reality of
Yes, sir.
availability of materials, etc. In Europe and Japan, it's easier source, but here it's kind of limiting. And most of the time when you're practicing already, you might be limited with Wilcon or MC Home Depot. You know what I mean? So you have to work around these limits. So, but of course, that's not to say that we cannot custom detail, but that will require cost, time, and money. Say, go ahead, guys.
Ano po, sorry, you were cutting off yung sa last part, sir.
Your Wi-Fi thing. Jericho, diba?
Yeah, kahit yung last sentences that you were saying.
We are limited with the dimension and the sources, and if you want that, but that is not to say that we cannot custom detail, but it will require more costs, more time, more effort to draw, and most important,
Okay.
skilled workers to execute them. Do you get it? So yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. So again, it's easy, although it starts with this, it's easy to make good renderings. Siyempre, we start iterating, we start practicing this good design, etc. visually, but half of our job is how to execute it. Sometimes we forget that execution is half the story of the architecture. So I want you to keep that in mind. So
All right.
when you graduate,
Yes, sir.
get as much experience as you can, the one that will give you more on-the-job training. Don't be maarte of going to the site. Baka kasi mainitan kayo, ayaw nyo mainitan, ayaw nyo malikabukan, but that's how you will learn. All right? Sige, go ahead.
All right, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, yun nga sir. So most likely mababago namin tong structural for next week. And ito yung sir yung parang concept namin dun sa yun dun sa co-working space. So parang modular siya na wall panels that can either turn into chairs. And meron ditong central table na pwedeng gamitin ng mga tao. And yung nasabi ko kanina na it can also be turned into a table para dun sa mga taong not in the mood to collaborate. And next is, wait lang. So basically, ito yung topmost floor. And since gusto namin nag-penetrate yung surrounding ng building sa building mismo, we basically left some open spaces to allow the trees to penetrate. And yeah, another view lang ng corridors from the first floor of the structure. So I think that's it, sir.
Can I sing it something lang?
Okay, sige.
Right. So basically to end all of this, me and Francis concept based on yung kay John Gill that we studied for the past few weeks is that how ano yun, Francis? Like
Yung
how optional
yung there's parang a magnitude of programs in a space. So basically kapag mas maraming social interaction nangyari, the space is considered higher quality compared to spaces na parang stagnant and walang tao. So that's what we were aiming for, sir, na to create social interaction between the parang the residents and the surrounding community nila. So yun, sir.
Okay.
so using like the corridors, sir, as a ano po yan, sir?
No, continue what you were saying.
Like since corridors are in a sense a required space since it's necessary for residents to go from one place to another, and while co-working spaces are like an optional type of space, so like what if we integrated that co-working space with like already the corridors as circulation, so that way the co-working space becomes more visible, more seen as a required space, since they're kind of merged with the basically the circulation of the whole building. So that's what we're going for. So like people would feel that they are more in a way dedicated to go out, since it's not just a circulation type of typology but also a recreational one and a interactive one. Yun lang, sir.
I'm going to challenge that idea because any hallway with big dimensions with a really wide space can claim to that idea. Maybe the challenge is how do you really claim that the outdoor space is more than what it suggests? Do you get it? Because we've seen a lot of
Yes, sir.
examples of housing projects wherein we have big, wide hallways, and yet they don't claim to be the concept that you are aiming for. Do you get it? So maybe if we had time, maybe we
Yes,
would
sir.
design something that is really custom made for that idea. Because right now it's just basically a typical hallway. All right. So regarding the tectonics, maybe
Yes, sir.
if
So
Sir David has a time, we can consult him about the materials. But I highly doubt if there's a wood that is that thin for the railing that you are suggesting. I think, yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
So basically, sir, yung plans namin for next week, since di pa naman final to, is yun nga, sir, yung magpo-focus kami doon on yung parang custom spaces na made for social interaction talaga. Since meron pa kaming di na-add, sir, na yung spaces for interaction sa ground floor, and feel ko yun yung mag-change nung parang as in yung totality nung concept namin. So yun, sir. I think yun yung hinahanap din, sir, pero hindi lang namin nagawa kasi medyo handicap kami ngayon kasi sira yung PC ni Jericho, sir. So we'll try to push again next week, sir.
Okay. Sige, but keep in mind, status quo, our deadline is next week. Unless I'm corrected, because on my calendar it says week 14 already today. All right. So, but
Okay, sir.
if it's really not next week, then we keep extending. Okay. All right.
Okay,
Next,
sir.
guys. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you,
Uh,
sir.
Joanna and Justin, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you hear me po?
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear you. I can hear you.
So for our presentation today, so here's just an overview of the macro map for our commercial building. Also, this is for the fabric building. So for our location, it's mainly around 5,000 square meter lot area, and then we decided to also take over the lot in front to turn it into like a garden area. And then here's the front elevation for the building. So on the left side, that's where the Aroceros Forest Park is located. So we wanted to utilize the views there. And then on the right side of the building, the cars can actually pass by there. So for the front elevation, we decided to also put a car ramp for the visitors. And then this is an overview for the rear elevation. So for located in the rear elevation is the ferry terminal. So like this white space here, it's actually the Pasig River. So on the rear elevation, that's where the commercial areas are also located. So while the people are eating, they have a view of the river and then they can access the terminal. And then this is a perspective shot for our courtyard or atrium. So as you can see, there's like these staircases, and we thought, what if the staircase design, it's actually made out of recycled shipping containers. Um, and then we decided to turn this into like a garden courtyard. So here is sort of a semi perspective shot for the rear elevation. So located here, it's the cafe. So as you can see, there's floor to ceiling windows to give the visitors a view of the Pasig River. So while they're eating, they can look at the terminals and stuff. So here, this is a rendered shot for the garden or courtyard area. So while the visitors are eating, they can also roam around the place to get a feel of the forest park, since this is adjacent to the Aroceros Forest Park. So we kind of wanted to make it more on the tropical theme. And here we made a preliminary section view for the fabric building. So located on the left, that's where the food stalls and the cafes are located. So that's the left side is the commercial area. And then on the right side, we decided to place the laboratories. So So the employees there can also have access to the Aroceres Forest Park. And then on the center, that's where the atrium is located. And Justin, you want to explain this part?
Basically, we're supposed to present more than just one part of the building's floor plan, but then I kind of I didn't get to finish some, but hopefully by next week we were able to show different, not just the commercial area of the floor plan, but it's just an example of what we want to show. So this is for the commercial the floor plan. So what we planned is, since this is 2 floors, so it's both accessible by hallways. So we made like should say we utilize the spaces, especially those sides, the corners, so that not only we have all the space in the middle for the dining area and easily accessible to each corner. So yeah, both first floor and second.
Yeah, and just to add to what he said, this floor plan, since it's in ISO view, we just wanted to get a sense of the stipulation for each modular unit. Okay, next one.
So this is another perspective we want to show based from the perspective from the view, the open area in the middle. So this is what we would want to look like when accessing through the hallway, through each rooms or buildings all throughout.
And also, since this hallway is located at the outskirt of the building, we thought of placing the structural columns on the right wall instead of the left side. So for the left side, there's huge windows, so it won't be obstructed with structural columns. And this one, JM, you want to explain this?
Okay, so Joanna, did you prepare yung fixed na ginawa? Okay. So what we did for our structural frame, we were supposed to place columns. So there's gonna be like 4 columns in each side to support, or 4 or 5 columns in each side, so that would support, that would help for the fabric on top. Not only for that, but we would also control at least foundations for when, let's just say, car pass-throughs, or more support for when people at least go to the second floor. So this is our sample. So we placed like four columns, yeah, 4 columns in each side. So at least um it's actually wide enough. I think it was given at least 6 point something meters for at least space for cars to pass through. And also at least we made columns 250 by 400 thick, so at least it would give more support for each.
Yeah, so that's what we have for this week, sir.
Wait lang ah. I'm eating chicharon eh. Okay. So, what? When I'm looking at the structural frame of the tensile fabric for the church typology, you can see how mature the building is. It shows maturity of the designer. That's how I expect all the proposals to be like at this stage, especially at design 6, so that you already have a knowledge of the building technology and then the tectonics that you can apply with it. And that shows a lot of, again, maturity when it comes to design. So the more you have that, the more you commit to exploring how this is going to stand, the more you can actually push it to become more interesting. So it's the same case with what I mentioned with Carlos Buencamino and Jazz Zacarias' work earlier, when I said it reminded me of a very conventional building and they're taking baby steps in modifying it. And then hopefully later on, if they are able to become more comfortable modifying all the elements that they see, excuse me, they see, it's going to be easier for them to explore. Now I'm going back to the fabric building. Can we go up? When you were talking about the stairs as being made of recycled materials, Joanna?
Yes, sir. Can you repeat, sir, what you said?
Yung
So
part,
you mentioned chapel.
slide number 4.
Okay.
Ayan. Kasi here you mentioned that you are going to use recycled materials like container vans. And then when I see the perspective, I don't see the container van ideas. Can we go to the perspective?
Okay, sir.
It looks as if it's yeah, like it looks as if it's made of conventional materials like concrete and steel. So how do you make this believable that it's made of recycled materials? Do you need to, because like it's the same thing with my demand from Fabico's and Martin's work. If you cannot commit to the properties of the existing material that you are using, whether we're not talking about exploration or pragmatic projects here, this is in general. As a designer, you need to hold knowledge of the materials that you are using. So we will need to see a slide or sheets showing an example of a container van deconstructed with their sizes, with their dimensions, so that I can actually match the elements of this perspective with with that data, with that information about the container vans. Do you get it? Joanna and Justin?
Yes, sir. We
Sir, can
plan
you-
on providing a section detail if we are to use recycled materials po. Pero it's still a preliminary idea. I think we're gonna scratch that idea if ever it's not sustainable naman.
Okay, again, maybe it's just the time factor, but don't get intimidated. All I'm saying is it's easy to drop an idea and it sounds impressive, but it's another thing to actually study and create a design out of it. You get it? You need to detail it so that that's the method of investigation of architects is drawing and finding out the dimensions, etc. So if you don't know this data, so it's futile to claim that it's made of wood. It's futile to claim it's made of recycled materials. You really need to show it. Later on, baka probably, kunyari, hindi yan all white. If it's not going to be all white, maybe it's made of different colors with the labels of Maersk, I don't know what the name, or evergreen, etc. Like you can see some stain or probably the color of the container vans. Or just I'm just thinking out loud. All I'm saying, even in the rendering, it needs to be shown, because the rendering, when I'm looking at it, it is as if it's not made of something that was recycled. It's like building from the ground up. All right. So and in the actual world, if you're going to design something like this and then recycle, you will need to do the same thing. Investigate on the materials that you're going to work with, the dimensions, etc., and how much you can use and how much can be implemented. Because for all you know, baka mamaya the height that you're working with might not be enough for that height for that building. Not to mention that we have other constraints when it comes to container van construction, such as heat gain, because it's made of metal, so the interiors can be very hot. So of course, there are other ways to mitigate it, just like putting insulation. Then you need to show some details. You know what I mean? So and then you were also showing some inclined roofing. So which part of the container van is that coming from? Do you have enough uh, space, or do you have enough material length to cover that slanted roofing? Do you get it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
By the
sir.
way,
Okay. Again,
sir,
this is a
po,
critique.
pakita lang.
This is a critique. This is not meant to discourage you, but again, when you are proposing ideas and designs like this, these are the things that are crucial so that you can make it happen. So I know that, you know, because of the time factor, you're intimidated to pursue that. That's why, you know, you're still going to consider or probably explore. But you know, later on, at least you have that mindset already that this is what I need to know in order to propose an idea like this. Just like my comments on Fabico and Martin's work. Okay, so yeah, okay. Do you have any questions?
Sir, for the finals presentation, is it in video format or sheets lang po?
It's going to be a video format. I'm still exploring because Sir Jerry was asking about the final defense. So I'm still exploring if I will push for that, given the time constraints, as he is interested in still including this in the Burnham exhibition. So yeah, but normally, since this is part of the design 5 and 6, this is 2 of 2. It will be the same format, like a video presentation. Okay.
Sir, can you repeat the last one again, sir? Choppy.
Okay. Just like this is part of the 2 of 2 of design 5, design 6, supposed to be a one project, as it we are creating typologies for the master plan. It's going to be the same method of presentation since design 4 actually. You can look at design 4. That's the best example of
Okay, sir.
that I can give. It's in YouTube. Okay, sige. Do
Okay,
you have
sir.
any other questions, guys?
Noted, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sige. Maureen and Antea, are you ready?
Bernadette, nandyan ka?
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. Ikaw na lang mag-share.
Great. Okay, great. Okay, game.
I know yun. Bakit siya?
Okay, so basically this is the whole entire like overall appearance of our first building, and then on top we did like we placed like this like small tea houses that people who order from the cafe or tea place could like go to and drink tea from on the roof garden. So yeah. Okay, next. So yeah, it's just like the update from like our from our last week update. So yeah. Okay, next.
So this is
Ikaw nga pala, sorry. Ikaw muna.
so this is the ano yung tea house, like inside there will be a water dispenser that will catch that will store rainwater. So yeah, yan yung itsura ng rain water dispenser. It's a DIY, so it's mostly made of cement in this structure. So this is the base section of the water dispenser. So there will be a downspout going to the water tank, and then there will be a water filter sa water dispenser. So parang piping lang. That will go to the drain of the greenhouse, to the green roof. So yung water tank has the dimension of 0.5 by 0.34 in cylindrical volume, which will have 49 liters of water for each house.
This would be the floor plan and then the parking flow for the ground floor of the building. So it just shows the commercial area and then like the compost area and how the flow of the vehicles would be on the site. Okay, next. And yeah, this would be the, yeah, this was just the ground floor without the arrows. Okay, next. And then this would be yung second floor showing yung cafe, the restrooms, and then yung commercial, yeah, yung for rent na space. Okay, next. And then this would be the roof garden, basically. So yeah. Next.
So this is the landmark location of our special building. Alas parang we decided to make it an extension to the circular park. So this is just our iteration of what will it look like. So basically, our programs will have a playground area, a view deck to see the river, and also a garden area, a ferry dock for small boats, commercial and other facilities, and open parking, and this will be the pedestrian area. So parang for people-centric siya. So parang hindi siya iniiputan ng cars.
Okay, so this is just like an idea that we could like place under the structural columns of the bridge from the previous picture. So basically a long time ago, I found this like material that is supposed to be some sort of filter that is made of like activated carbon, but basically it's like as you can see in the picture, it's like a filter that is supposed to look like a bunch of strand of hair that the company who formulated it usually put in like metal, like they surround it on like a metal pole. So parang brush lang siya, and then you put it underneath the water, and basically it's supposed to like help filter the body of water where it's submerged under, because it causes the pollutants within the water to decay. And then after it decays those pollutants, it kind of creates this slimy texture on the strands that could be home or help like become a habitat for fishes in the body of water. So yeah. That's just an idea. Okay, next slide. So basically the one shown in the picture is the structural columns that was shown supporting the bridge of the building. And we were thinking that of like incorporating the carbon filter underneath the columns of the building to like help maintain the cleanliness of the Pasig River. Okay, next. And another characteristic found in the Pasig River is the infestation of water hyacinths. So basically, we researched some products that are produced from water hyacinths, which are like, so the ones that we found are like compost, fish feed, and water hyacinth fiber is also used to create weave products. but we haven't yet implemented how it's going to affect the building typology yet. So yeah.
That's it, no? That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it, sir.
Okay.
Unless may add ka pa.
Okay, all the ideas are great. Can you open the no, don't hide your drawings. You need to be proud of it.
Sir, sorry, ano po, kasi choppy.
Don't hide your drawings. You need to be proud of it. So can we look at the floor plans? Floor plans. There you go. Okay, I want you guys to develop, because the ideas are already there. I just want you guys to develop your presentation skills, because right now it really lacks some sort of a maturity when it comes to the drawing. I mean, it's understandable, but it's not enough that it is understandable. It needs to be it needs to have that design quality that you know that you're committing to certain ideas, because lines have meaning, etc. So Tracy, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can I ask a favor? Can you guys share, not just Tracy, Kevin, Janelle, your floor plans in our GC, so that everyone can look at the kind of floor plans that we want to have as a standard.
Okay.
All right, even the detailing and the base
Okay,
section.
sir. From any project, no? Basta
Oh yes.
yung line.
Kasi I saw your base section.
Okay, sir. Sige.
Thank you, Tracy. And anyone, please share. Number six, guys, Maureen, and slide number 6. Ayan, for example, that one, it looks diagrammatic. It doesn't, this is not a base section. When you're looking at the base section, it needs to be detailed in such a way that even the small layers are indicated. Even you need to be very conscious, even with the leader, with the annotations, etc., with the arrows. And sometimes you don't need to use color, just the line types and the line weights should suffice to indicate an idea. When you talk about base section, you're talking about a profile of the building. Like when you sliced my face. So basically you're looking at the shape of my nose, my eyes, and how the eyeballs are related with the eye socket, etc. So those are the things that you need to show. So definitely it's not diagrammatic like this one. Do you understand, Maureen and Antea?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Probably the best advice that I can give so that you can improve. I mean, it's not enough that you have good examples, no? You need to keep exporting it. You know, AutoCAD, it has a plot style. You just need to modify the plot styles, and then the moment you export it to PDF, you will already see the quality of the drawing that you will produce. So it's just trial and error. Just probably provide 1 hour to 2 hours to blend the right thicknesses of your pens in AutoCAD. All right, so that you have a variation of thicknesses in the drawing. All right, guys?
Yes, sir.
All right, but it's getting there. It's just that I'm not happy with the quality of the drawing, which is very important in design. All right, because for example, this one, I don't know which one is a diagram, which one is the actual architecture, which one is the actual the dimension even has the same thickness as the actual drawing. Do you know what I mean? So it's very confusing. All right. So do you have any questions, guys? The other ideas are good, but the drawings will need improvement. Okay na, guys? Are you there?
Sir.
Okay, sige. Thank you, Antea and
Yes, sir.
Maureen. Sige, let's go
Thank you,
to,
sir.
yeah, thank you. Let's go to Jao and Bea.
Sure, okay, I'll just screen share. Hold on, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, quick question lang.
Sure.
Are the are the sheets for the finals going to look like how we've been doing our sheets for the past weeks na parang per page po siya, or is it gonna be like a board?
Look at the design for presentation in YouTube. Those are good examples of how you can present your work. That's basically you have the freedom to create. Can you hear me? Yeah. Basically, you have the freedom to curate your presentation. Do you get it? So the process that we've been doing on a weekly basis is basically leads to the final presentation. All right. So you know, you can start from scratch if you want. You can, you know, you can make it appear perfect, basically.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Sige. Sige, Bea and Jao.
Okay, so technically we kind of just consulted with you, right? Like last Saturday. So what we did was kind of just work on our fabric building and just kind of edit our SketchUp file for our special building, which is a skate park. So yeah, like from the last time we talked, we still worked on a residential building. So initially, oh, where'd it go? Well, initially there were a lot of stilts going on, right, from last time where we used kind of like a block feature. Sorry, we don't we don't have sheets, but then we're still like on the verge of still producing our structure. But then yeah, we still wanted to go with creating spaces and kind of carving out strategy to be applied onto the building. We wanted to kind of like apply these principles in a way that really that we want other buildings around the city, other residential buildings actually to yeah, just follow this kind of uh yeah, basic principles and stuff. So yeah, like as we mentioned before, it was kind of how we imagined the space was kind of eclectic. So then there's no really like a basic form to be repeated all throughout the space. It's just mainly the experience and the ability of each building to communicate with one another within like that certain community. So like from last time, we were kind of working on um, focusing on creating healing spaces within the residential building itself. So then, yeah, by creating like pocket gardens and everything, this was like our second iteration. Yeah, I kind of have a missing apartment thing here, but then we did want to create some sort of areas where uh, these residents can kind of be able to still interact with each other, but then have more of a sense of privacy. As we mentioned before from our last consultation, we still wanted to have that idea of um, kind of more sense of privacy and rethink the idea of residential spaces. So then instead of something so linear or like in tackling healing spaces, we did want to divert from something so systematic that relate to things that are a lot more stressful. Like when we were looking into healing spaces, it had a lot to deal with um, association. So then, like, because things that buildings are commonly made like a maze or whatever, or something very rigid, and the flow is so uh like strict and everything, there we wanted to kind of experiment with um, creating a different kind of circulation for these residents to be able to find their apartments and everything. So yeah, we have these open spaces that allow for the residents to kind of go around to find their apartments, which aren't really directly uh, like you don't find them in a way that you usually find your regular apartments by floor and by the number and everything. It's really just by um, knowing exactly where you are, and it kind of has like a sense of privacy also, since these residents really directly know where they're supposed to go. So then it has also that sense of discovery as well, and not something that's just entirely linear. And also because of that, along with association, for the healing spaces, we did want to play around with um, how we wanted to tackle incorporating vegetation and lighting as well. So one of the main things about our urban planning from like last term and everything was creating rooftop gardens, because of how it really did complement the city, as well as giving the residents the opportunity to really experience outdoors, indoors in a way. But then we wanted to be able to have that in a sense by carving these spaces for more intimate openings for to experience these um vegetation and everything, and also to have to be able to have like private or to semi-private and experiences within these residential apartments as well. So it's not just like creating entirely shared spaces, but then being able to have that sense of um privacy for those experiences as well. So then we ended up creating this at first, and then it ended up moving to this because we did want to also incorporate um water in a sense to our building, where we wanted to play around with how water would flow through the building, and not just something that is to be dealt with like rain, just to avoid yeah the accumulation of it. In a sense, we wanted to be able to utilize um water to be able to assist with helping water the plants, as well as um also contributing to the healing portion to what we wanted to accomplish and everything with the building. And so we ended up like playing around with the roofs and stuff, but then we ended up just not liking it. Well, when I was modeling it, it didn't seem so like the experience seemed very uh not direct, but then it wasn't different in each place you are in. Like it seemed very similar every angle you kind of look, which I didn't want for the space, because with healing spaces you do want to have different associations, like for every aspect of like the view and stuff, because with that things get to like a more personal or deeper level. So then with the use of these plants and the types of plants and the way light hits like a certain portion of the roof, we wanted to create different views for every like residential like apartment within that space. So then we wanted to just play around the roof, but then we ended up with this actually, where it's not really necessarily like initially, like when we showed our urban planning, right, it was like really just roof deck garden, and then like every other like apartment that's just in levels and everything. But then yeah, playing around with the concept of healing spaces and yeah, the basically adding systems for water to be able to yeah like trickle down the roofs for like planting and everything. We wanted to um yeah have really different roofings uh for yeah zone and everything. So then kind of finding your apartment is like kind of different also, I guess. So uh yeah, the way light would kind of touch the roofs here for like the time of the day. So it kind of travel and yeah. And in terms of yeah, finding the apartments and everything is supposed to be like up, but then with we don't want it to be like directly like a solid wall because it does block a lot of light. But then because we did want to create entrances for the lower level, we did want it to kind of still be secure as well as um, making it not seem like oh it's open to everybody and everything because this is actually like one uh apartment and stuff and then the rest then there's others here as well like on each phase of the building which we wanted to incorporate. And then like for the upper levels, there's this area. Well, initially we did want to have like different entrances um per phase for even like the upper levels. But then we felt like that really loses kind of the sense of community within a residential building per se, like for apartments, usually there's like a common lobby and everything. So then we still have spaces like that. Like for example, this like space where it could possibly have certain common facilities as well, like common bathrooms, right, for like the lobby or like the male area. So then we wanted to have that as well as like a common garden as well that open up to yeah, there's different apartments that go oops, that kind of go up also here. Yeah, there's like different staircases. So like really finding the space in a way is kind of like a maze, but then a reconfigured maze-like experience. So yeah, that's basically it, sir, that we did. And then yeah, we just tried detailing it, but it's not entirely done yet. But yeah.
Okay. Actually, I love this development because it echoes what we've been doing for the master plan, creating those intimate spaces, and now this is more on the micro housing level. But this reminds me of a very European type of setting. Maybe you can tropicalize it because the moment you have typhoon or torrential rain, I'm definitely imagining that all the water will go into the courtyard. So if there's a way that you can address it, that will make it more tropical. I'm not talking about superficial stuff like making it wood, making it, all of those stuff. Because you can be tropical with any skin that you want, So I want you guys to address that so that you can have that sensitivity. Enjoy the form, enjoy the uh, cultivating a very nice building envelope or fabric, but without being out of touch. Okay.
Okay, sir, yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
because definitely the rain will be a problem. But during sunrise, summer, it will be a very nice space, especially those interstitial spaces that you introduce in between. And not only it introduce a very interesting roofscape for the city. Okay, so imagine if you have plants there, I think it will be more interesting as well. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we'll work on yeah, the rain aspect to it to be more sensitive to not making it so flooded or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
we can
Okay.
work on developing that path.
Sige. Okay, thank you
Thank you,
guys.
sir.
All right. So,
Thank you, sir.
Julian and Lance.
Kami na ba, sir?
Hmm.
Okay. Lance, hindi ka ba?
Hello,
Bagong
hello.
recollection lang yan si Lance.
Wait mo na,
Hello?
Lance.
Hello, hello.
Lag ata yun sa akin.
Kaya ba? Choppy ba kami?
You guys are okay. Kanina Sir Jim was choppy. But yeah.
I think si Lance yung...
Hello, hello. Hello?
Lance. Ay naman.
Hello. Ayun.
Hello. Medyo narinig ba ako?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, narinig ka.
Kaya lang ata di ko marinig eh.
Go ahead, go ahead. You can be heard.
Okay. Present ko lang sir kahit medyo di ko narinig yung from the other side. Kasi wala yung wifi namin eh. So for this week, we continued on creating the permutations down. And for the base section, we created 3 iterations, which is the first one, it's the commercial building, which is in singular shading device. But then in the apartment unit, and ginawa na namin na individual. Every apartment has its own shading device. Also, they have their own controller. Tapos, we also thought about what if they have a lot of space. So we created something with a balcony. Pero not just any balcony. We needed it to make. We created a planter's box outside, so they have access to a mini garden right outside their home, inside their home pala. So how did we do that? Here's a blow-up section. We experimented on the shape of the planter's box. So noticing na yung louvers we have is very thin. So when you look at it, it's very parang continuous na repetitive pala na thin strips. So we wanted to continue that sa vertical as a horizontal lines, which is the planter's box. So first we created something like an arc. So we created something like this. But then nung tinignan namin sa front, we saw na sobrang dominant ang shape niya instead of being a part of the structure and making this structure the focus. So invert namin yung circle and then we got the thickness of those parang buttresses and put it here. So what it does is thin vertical strips pa rin siya pero may planter's box. And then yeah, we created a balcony then. So it's part of it.
Add ko lang siguro na yung kaya may isa kaming iteration na walang balcony kasi dun sa master plan namin medyo may some lots na it was too small to have a balcony. So if na-offset na namin yung building, then we put the individual rooms. Parang medyo liliit na yung space if there's a balcony. So the balcony one is only for the bigger size lots. That's...
And so we also created a 3D model kasi medyo mahirap siya imagine sa section only. So how it works is it has a controller or a crank that controls the pulley out sa taas. And then parang may brush to seal the room when the cloth is going out and going in. So yeah, this is just to visualize it from inside. So this is the perspective of the users. Tapos sa exterior, it looks like this. So it totally covers the space inside instead of kasi sa ibang iterations namin is na-expose yung mga framing. So in this way, we covered everything. And this is how it looks from inside also, pero human perspective. So we have individual cranks for every curtain. So yeah, that's all. Ano pa ba? Julian?
Siguro, sir, isi-share screen ko na lang yung nagawa namin for the master plan kasi hindi pa kami
Sige.
makakapag-render since in-apply na namin yung building fabric namin throughout the whole residential area. And so this is how the building, can you see it, sir?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, so this is how everything will look if may curtain system na siya. Although hindi pa namin siya nalagay sa lahat kasi medyo madami. But here we try to experiment on like how, kasi yung in-explain ni Lance kanina was how the residential will differ from the commercial building fabric. Pero within the residential, we wanted to see how will it have variety na in a way parang different, may different na look yung each building but having the same DNA. So yung pinaka-relevant I guess is yung shape ng profile nung louvers. So yung iba nagva-vary sila ng shapes and thickness. And also yung iba mas nagpo-protrude outside, but the important thing is parang nandun yung same DNA na merong arcaded and merong overhang since yun yung nakuha namin from our special typology. So right now yung pa lang yung nagagawa namin kasi medyo natagalan kami sa pag-model nito and nagpe-prepare na rin kami for like how like the final renders. May i-add ka pa balance? I guess that's it, sir, for this week.
Ano yung for your special building again? I think I forgot already.
Yung special building namin, sir, yung textile recycling.
Okay. Sige. What's the update on that?
Hindi pa namin, sir, natutuloy pero most likely yun na yung focus namin for next week.
Again, it might be our last week next week, huh? Just keep in mind, all right? Okay, sige. Let's go to Quick here and Janil.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Is it seen?
Yeah, it's seen.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I think the final parts that we're trying to fix along is just the exterior fabric of our fabric building. So we altered the exterior again with the same modules that we talked about such as the having a rainwater catchment and having this roofing system that's based on like our super early on research on aqueduct systems and retaining the air wells and the plant cultivation and having the laundry or clothing line system. We just changed the form a bit to make it more easily permutated and also connect more to our special building, since we have residential areas also by the mosque, and we sort of still wanted to have the same language. So with this form, mostly what we decided to change was the roofing system. And what Kier did actually was try to make it in a way wherein it resonates more with the mosque. So the form itself follows the tiling of our mosques and creates a different atmosphere for the fabric building as a whole. So other than that, it's easily configurable. So once we permutate it, we'll be able to just I guess adjust the angles of the roofs or the angles of the plantation areas and the terraces. So if ever, what the remaining things we have to do is just detail this with like railings and other minor details. Next, please. So we tried just placing them along a strip, since in our master plan it's sort of gonna end up the same way, where there'll be a very long strip of just shop houses near the Pasig River. So of course these will still be permutated, but we just wanted to see how it would potentially look like with later on with more vegetation and the rooftops and more dynamic roofing systems. Next here. Okay, and then this is just the section, the perspective to show the Esquinita area, since we wanted to make it in a way where we would retain the intimacy of the space of the community, since yeah, the culture within the areas, like the shop houses are mainly for street food. So we still wanted to retain that sort of Philippine culture. So we tried to make it more intimate and retain that traditional sense of like having laundry or like clothing sort of above the community as they walk through the shop houses. So we sort of imagine it to have to be sort of festive in a way, where the hanging clothing on top would be more colorful and the roofing systems would be more dynamic as compared to this one. But that's just us looking into it. And so yeah, super short, but that's our progress.
Just to add, so the Escanita is really so that the people who own the shop houses supposedly really have a sense of community and yeah, have a sense of community with their neighbor and the neighborhood in their area. That's all, sir.
Okay, so again, I guess it just, I really like how this is developing. It's just a matter of finishing everything by next week. Or if it's going to be 2 weeks from now, then 2 weeks from now. But I really hope you guys finish this. Okay, so but in terms of ideas, it's very rich in ideas already, and the detailing is there already. So just finish it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. Idrius and TJ. Last but not the least.
Sir, pasok lang pala po sa laptop.
Okay. Idrius, are you there? You can start sharing already. Go ahead.
So, sir, so we're gonna show our fabric plan. First of all, we decided to have a rather start with the boxy process, then evolve it with an I-shaped roof like here. So this is our process for the massing of the fabric building. Then we decided to split the features of the building and created a diagram on how the things will work out inside this building. Once the concierge is entered, it can lead into several ways which can be accessed into any direction. Once you have access to the living room, you can either visit a restaurant or a convenience store, which is connected with the kitchen, and sort of in the middle of the kitchen and the office number 2, there's a storage room regarding the supplies of the stuff that's gonna be used in the convenience store and restaurant. For the office though, it is based on the water and cilantro collection, and it is connected with each other. They are tasked with organizing the job that is related into this mainline collection and including the storage room. While office number 1 is basically tasking and observing over the restaurant, kitchen, and convenience store. So this our plan, floor plan. So for the water and Silanto collection, we decided that it will be split into two collection bowls. The first being water, and the second being Silanto, which is used to distribute into on other buildings. And for the storage room, there's also a hole which the items will fall down into that bowl safely. So for the living room, we decided to include this kind of furnitures because we also wanted people to interact and experience with each of their friends. And comfort room has been placed into an area which is accessible in the fastest way regarding the visitors of convenience store and restaurant. Male and female room and male restroom. So this is the elevation plan of the fabric building. Front, rear. It's mostly symmetrical in form and the diagrid system in the top is used to sustain and support the structure. For the right and left elevation plan, it gives a more nuanced view on the water and Silanto collection room. So it's basically a factory which is used as a workplace. And for the left elevation plan, it's basically the view of the kitchen and restaurant. Both sides of the elevation plan feature a sliding roof, which is used to slide down the rainwater into a safe place. So here are some perspective views of the fabric building. So it's still tentative and pre something. Water and Silanto collection. Storage room. The holes are coming from the second floor, and these are the views of the restaurant and convenience store, which are used both to access the kitchen. So to sum off, this is the perspective view of the fabric building. For the second floor, we will still build it up as soon we have finished the first floor, and for the commercial, wait. TJ, commercial
Hello,
building, TJ.
can you hear me? Hello, am I clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is our floor plan for our commercial building. So this This is the first floor. On the first floor, we decided to put shops or rentable spaces, and then also rentable spaces for kiosks. So we have, you can see here, we have the shops. We have different shops, and then spaces for kiosks, and then we also have the uh, an office for the admin for the commercial spaces. And then we have you have two elevators and then stairs. And we decided to make it try to keep it as an open area as much as possible. And then can you go to the second floor? There for the second floor, we decided to make it like a similar to it also has sorry it also has rentable spaces, but for food, for those who wants to sell food. And we also have dining spaces that we provided for it. And we also kept it as an open area, so we didn't enclose it as much as we could. So that's the floor plan for a commercial building. You have the full structure. Do you, do you have the full structure there?
Wait. I'll open it.
Okay, what's going on?
Sorry, mabagal lang siya.
Sir, lag. Nag-lag po eh. Bagal po ng laptop.
Sige lang.
Two years na to eh.
So here, here's our full model of our commercial structure. You can see na yun nga, we so the people on the second floor who are eating have a view of either the Pasig River or the areas surrounding the commercial structure. And then we tried to make the flow uh, um, uh, we tried to make the flow as smooth as possible. So yan, sir.
Okay, so look at the difference, TJ, between your work now and before. Before, there was no commitment, there was no columnation. This is more mature because I can see
Yes,
the
sir.
right element that looks like a building. Before, to be honest, Don't get offended. It was like a joke. All right, but now it looks like
Yeah, yes, sir.
a real building. So the next step is for me to see how mature you are in terms of translating this into floor plan. Okay. So even with the floor
Okay,
plan
sir.
of the first building that Adrius presented, I'm okay with it. I'm not gonna be into the nitty-gritty of the design and the idea. Maybe just can we go lang to the floor plan again, Adrius? I just want to see and comment on something.
Actually, sir, ito in-export po namin kaso ang bagal po eh. Hindi po
Oy,
nag-export
hindi
sa
pwede
CAD.
export. Kailangan mong gawin CAD yan, ha? Kasi gusto ko makita yung commitment. Kasi pag ganito yan guys, TJ and Adrius, ang mga karpintero, the contractors, they won't be able to understand an exported 2D plan from SketchUp. Madadaya pa rin kayo. Meaning, they can always cheat.
This one, ito po CAD.
It has to be AutoCAD. All right. And then again, Tracy presented, uploaded the beautiful examples of floor plans. And si Idris naman kasi, I just need to keep reminding him, he is capable of creating good floor plans. So, may comment lang Idris yung ano eh, yung
Sir, may nakita.
Escalator ba yun?
May nakita po. Stairs po.
Pero ba't dalawa na magkatapat? Normally, pag ganun, when you have a setup like that, it's normally 4 escalators. So you just need to make a big one if it's going to be just stairs.
I was thinking, sir, pang social distancing kaya sinetry ko.
Pwede naman mag-social distancing kahit malapad eh. Just make it 1 meter like that. So, sige, okay. I think you made me think about it, Adrius. It actually makes sense, to be honest. Sige, I approve it. I think the argument is valid. Sige. What do you call that? TJ, it's like a food court, no? So you have dining areas.
Yes, sir. It's separate naman yung like yung food, yung mga
Okay.
sellers and then yung dining.
This goes for everyone. I think I remember Carlos and Jazz proposal. Keep in mind that the ratio, as a rule of thumb, it's 30%, 70% ratio. 30% is the kitchen of the dining. 30% of the kitchen. Wait a minute. 70% dining area, 30% kitchen. All right.
Okay, sir.
So keep that in mind. But it doesn't apply with the food court because you have several stalls, no? So, but I think you just need to put a lot of seating areas because I think your stalls outnumber the customer area. The customer area with tables. You get what I mean? You just have a lot of open spaces that are unusable. Do you get it, TJ?
Sir, you got cut off.
Sorry, you just have a lot of open spaces that are unusable. So you need to put more seating areas.
Okay, sir.
For the dining, all right? Sige.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I guess that's it. Do you have any questions?
No naman, sir.
Okay,
Not
Idris,
right now.
you have any questions? Tracy, you were about to say something.
Sir, yeah, I have a question kasi this coming Thursday is actually Tuesday schedule.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to, like, in our own phase or when it is also convenient for you, sir, to ask some,
Yes,
you know,
you are free to consult me even before Thursday. Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay?
All right.
Ah,
Thank you.
sige.
Message lang, sir, no?
Sige, message na lang. Basta free kasi baka mamaya I'm jebbing. So, lako lang. So,
Naka-record pa rin to, ha, sir? I think.
I know. Hayaan mo sila. What else?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, sige. I'll see you guys soon and Thursday, if ever. Sige. Good luck, guys. Thanks again for the time.